Hello and welcome to the Be Elite podcast. My name is Katarina and we have a special guest that we're going to be interviewing today. His name is Derick Nelson.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Katarina. Yes, welcome to the podcast. And we do have a very special guest, Derick Nelson. He's a singer, he's a songwriter, he's a producer, he's an educator, and he has become a part of the Elite family with his amazing workshop that he's been doing with our students. Derick, welcome.
Thank you so much, Mr. Smith, and for Katarina for that beautiful intro. I am so thrilled to be here on the Be Elite podcast. This is amazing what you all are putting together here, and it's an honor to be a special guest. So a little bit about me really quickly, if this is your first time watching or listening to this podcast and we haven't had a chance to meet. Like Nolan mentioned, I'm Derick Nelson, a singer, songwriter, and music producer. Music has been my life for as long as I can remember. You may recognize me from TV shows or movies, like the TV show Glee. I was the lead guitar player on the TV show for over 4 years. My YouTube videos have been viewed millions of times, and I've toured over 150 cities around the world with my own music. So music is a huge part of who I am, and I'm very fortunate and have worked very hard to build my own independent career that I love. And that has now led me to Elite to be able to share some of the things that have provided me success in my life with other young musicians and young songwriters and students from all over the Elite world. So the past few weeks, we've been working on 2 separate workshops. Both have been amazing songwriting and creative music workshops where all of our students have written their own song from start to finish in just 2 weeks together. Not only that, we've also put together music videos for group songs that we've written all together. And I'm very excited to share with you a special opportunity for all of our Elite students, staff, and teachers, which I'll talk about a little bit more in a moment.
Thank you, Derick. No, we appreciate that. And if you haven't checked it out, they do their performances on YouTube. They do a fantastic job of it. Both times it blew me away seeing it. So if you haven't seen that, you definitely need to check it out. It's you need to see our students blossom and just really shine thanks to Mr. Nelson's assistance. I see somebody, it's like, I have a question. So go for your question. You're good. You're fine.
Sorry, Mr. Nolan. I had internet issues and it made me post it multiple times.
That's okay. Go for it, man.
Okay, so my first question, Mr. Nelson, was I'd like to know, are you aware of the newcomer rapper Lele and how fast she's rising up the ranks?
I have not been made aware of her, but I'm always keeping my ear out for new upcoming, prospering musicians that are on the rise, and supporting new artists is something I'm really passionate about. So please send me some info on her, and I would love to check her out.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, thank you. And now, everybody, it is open questions time. So if you have a question for Mr. Nelson, jump in.
What got you into music writing and songwriting?
Armando, great question. What got me into music and writing songs? I started at a very early age. I was like 8 years old, and I performed a solo on stage in front of like 300 people as part of a musical. It was a kids musical, and I just loved that feeling of being able to sing in front of an audience that enjoyed hearing me. And it was just one of these moments that was like, oh, this feels comfortable. This feels exciting. I know many of you out there probably have had a moment like that, whether it's in school or in a specific field of interest, something that you felt a calling or a passion about, whether it's sports or music or art or public speaking. That passion was really apparent for me when I first stood on stage. And as I grew to perform more, I realized I want to be able to tell my own story. So much of theater is being able to put yourself into these other characters and tell their stories. But what was really intriguing to me was, what can I say that's unique and new and original that people haven't heard yet before? And I believe we all have a story to share. We all have a unique life experience. And that's what makes communication and connection through the arts and through music so special is the impact we can make on other people by telling them our story. So that's how I got started writing songs.
That's very
Thank you for that.
interesting.
Very cool. We have Annabelle is up next.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. My question is, Derick, when did you start making music?
So I remember, I don't think I've ever told anybody this, but I remember I was maybe like 6 years old, and I had this little notebook in my room, and I was outside on the swings, and I started singing this song while I was on the swings about the birds or something, and the sky and the clouds and everything. Again, 6 years old, just this random song that came to me, and I got back inside. I was like, man, this is really good. I really like this song. I don't want to forget it. How am I going to make sure that I don't forget it? So I wrote the words down, and I was like, oh, well, that's the words, but how am I going to remember how the tune goes? And so I started putting these little dashes and dots and little drawings of where the melody, the music felt like the tune was along with the words. And it was like, looking back, it was like a very crude way of doing music notation. And so already at that early age, it was like I was trying to write out a way that you could, on paper, remember how a song goes, which we now know as sheet music. But that was the earliest I can remember that I really felt that calling of wanting to write my own music. And then I was 14 when I first started playing guitar. And ever since then, it was like I wanted to learn these songs that I loved, and there'd be chords that I didn't know how to play, so I would make up my own. And then I was like, oh, this could be its own song. And then I wanted to sing over the top of it. So all of these ideas came out, and the tools I was using was really the vehicle for helping me express the things that I felt inside. And as we've talked about in our workshop, music is a way that we can universally express those feelings and those emotions through something that's way more powerful than just speaking about it. So ever since I felt that power, it's like once you feel it, you can't go back, right? Great question, Annabelle.
Yes, thank you for that, Annabelle. All right, Matthias, you are next.
Having being a successful musician like yourself, I'm sure you've produced tons of multi-millionaire money songs. But I do have a question. If you were to do a duet with any famous musician like Derick, who would it be?
You cut out at the end there, but I think your question was if I could do a duet with any famous singer, who would it be? That's an awesome question. I have had the
Yes, that's the question.
I have had an awesome opportunities in my life to be able to perform with some of my heroes. I got to sing backup for Mary J. Blige one time at a Grammy event, which was really cool, and been able to work with some awesome heroes. But I would have to say the dream duet would be with Norah Jones. Does everybody know who Norah Jones is? No, nobody knows who Norah. Okay, dating myself a little bit. All right. So Norah Jones is one of my heroes and really helped me get inspired to do music in the first place, hearing her sound. She has this beautiful voice and does a lot of jazz. So a lot of jazz inspired music, but crosses over into R&B and pop and funk and all sorts of different styles that she uses with this sort of jazz foundation, which really speaks to me. So she's one of my heroes. I would love to someday be able to meet her, and to do a duet would be even that would be like beyond dream come true.
Good question and good answer.
Thank you.
All right, next up is Katerina.
I have a question for you. What is your advice to people who want to start a music career?
Ooh, my advice for people who want to start a music career. One of my favorite things to remember is start with why. Start with why. And this is a mantra from somebody I really look up to. His name is Simon Sinek. He's an author and an entrepreneur. And he explains that many people can tell you what they do. People can also tell you how they do it. But very few people can articulate why. So from the very beginning, it's important to think about, why do you want to go into music in the first place? Why do you want to have music as a career? Is it because you want to make money? Is it because you want to reach people with your art? Is it because you want to travel the world and play music in beautiful places? There's a lot of reasons why music calls to us. But the first and foremost thing is to be able to define why that passion is so important to you and why you want to pursue that, because that will allow you to navigate a lot of the noise that comes in. And what do I mean by noise? I mean, there's going to be distractions along the way. Someone saying, hey, I want you to join my band. Oh, well, okay. Or, hey, I want you to do this music project. Or I want you to be in an orchestra pit for a musical. Or you should go to school for jazz. You're going to have a lot of people along the way that's like steering you in a different direction. And if you aren't super clear about what your why is, it's easy to get lost and pulled in different directions. So especially in music, making your own career is something so special, and it will open so many doors for you and allow you the freedom in your life to pursue the things that are most important to you. But you have to remember to boil that down to, why are you doing this in the first place? And make sure that that why is really strong so that it can last for years. And your why can change along the way too. It can change. My why has changed just this past year in meeting all of you here at Elite. I've realized that I can make an immense impact on helping other people get out of their shell and create music and feel that same passion that I felt. And that's such a special thing. And so again, my biggest advice, start with why, and then remember that you're going to have to wear a lot of different hats. You got to be a lot of different roles at once. So it's not really enough just to say, I'm a piano player and that's it. You're also going to have to know a little bit about marketing and about business and about communication, about performance. So there's a lot of different things that you have to be open to educating yourself on in order to establish that career path. Does that make sense? That's probably the briefest I could possibly be on that answer, but I love that question. And if anyone has any more specific questions around that idea, I would love to talk more about that.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Elisa, you're up.
Oh, I actually have two questions. The first one is, what made you join Elite?
Oh, hi, Elisa. What made me join Elite? I was approached by our founder, Megan Freeman, and our Chief Student Development Officer, Ashley Kirkland. And they have been looking for someone who could provide some creative ways to do music in our world. And that's a really difficult thing, as you can imagine, because we've got our tech here, everyone's got a camera, everyone's got a slightly different setup, and music is something that's so dependent on being in the same room together, on being able to communicate and look in each other's eyes and feel each other's energy. So that can be a very difficult thing to try to translate into our world here at Elite. But I knew that there were some ways that I could be of service to help create that kind of atmosphere and solve some of those kind of problems in our online world. So as soon as I heard about you amazing students, I knew that there was an opportunity for me to be able to try to put something together that could help in our world solve that problem of creating music online. And I'm really thrilled to report that everybody I've worked with so far has written their own song, has gotten out of their shell, has overcome some insecurities, and has performed for the world as part of our virtual concerts. So it's really been an inspiring part of the journey from every step of the way. But yes, Elisa, I'm brand new to Elite as of, just a month or two ago.
And my second question is, how do you get inspiration for your songs? Like any, yeah.
How do you get inspiration for your songs? Well, that's something that I talk about a lot in our songwriting workshop, is that I believe you can find inspiration anywhere. And there's a lot of artists who believe this myth that inspiration has to strike in order for you to create. And while that can be a very powerful, motivating thing, it can also lead to a lot of procrastination. Because you can imagine being an artist and waiting to feel inspired before you create something. You might be waiting forever. So what I like to think of instead is this image of what I call the creative well. And I want everyone to imagine that there's a little like old-timey stone well in the middle of a meadow in a magical forest somewhere. That is your creative well. So I want you to picture that. It's got some rustic beams and a rope and a bucket, an old-timey looking bucket, like from an old Disney movie, right? And you're going to go to that well, and I want you to dip that bucket. And it's going to take some work because you don't know how deep you have to go before you hit some water. And you don't know what you're going to pull out. It might be murky, muddy water, or it might be really crystal clear. That well might be overflowing one day. But if you don't get into the practice of even going to the well in the first place to see what's there that day, you're not going to ever get something out of there. And you're not going to get to the point where you have that overflowing, crystal clear, perfect water. So I hope that metaphor makes sense for everybody.
Well, I know.
Imagine where you have to be willing to create in order to access that inspiration. And a lot of the inspiration that I like to pull from is meaningful things that happen in my own life. Because like I was saying before, by telling our own stories, it gives other people perspectives that have the ability to make an impact. And that's the most important thing to me when writing a song.
That was a really good question. Thank you for that.
Great
Really
question,
good answer.
Lisa. Thank you.
All right. We have Armando is up next.
So I have a question. When you're making songs and you're like dropping the beats down, what kind of software do you use? Because sometimes I'll just be like wandering around the house, being bored, and then in my head I'll just come up with some crazy rap, and then I'll forget it 3 minutes later. And so, what kind of software do you use when you like drop down the beats and you add all the audio together to make the actual song?
There are two pieces of software that I love that I would be lost without. The first one is something that all of you probably have on your phone already. And if you have an iPhone, it's called Voice Memos. And it's one of the most underused apps. It's my favorite app on my phone because as soon as I get that idea, Armando, a lot of times it might be like you're in the kitchen or you're like in the bathroom or whatever. You can just pull out your phone, you hit Voice Memos, record, and sing in your idea of bring the beat in. And there'll be like, oh, a cool little horn line would be like, oh, I like that. And you just leave this big, long, rambly, like 4-minute voice memo. You can always go back to that. And now you have that idea to jog your memory for when you actually get to the point where you're using the next piece of software that I love, which is called Logic Pro. Anybody who's using a Mac might have heard of this before. It is the ultimate tool for music production. It allows you to be able to record as many tracks as you want. It comes with a library of different instruments, software instruments that you can use, and has everything you need ready to go inside the software to make professional sounding music releases. And this is what I've been using for over 10 years now to create all of the music that I've produced, not only for myself, but for multiple other artists who have gone on to have thousands and thousands of plays and streams. And it's all from using Logic Pro. So if you don't have Logic Pro, there is a free version. It's sort of a starter version of that comes with your Mac called GarageBand, which I'm sure you've also probably heard.
Yeah.
So Logic Pro is sort of the next level of GarageBand, where it gives you a little more flexibility to dial in the details of what you want that sound to be. But that would be my best advice, is if you have that idea and you know when that beat's going to come in and you know kind of how you want it to go, sing it into your phone, into voice memos, and then you'll have a little demo track that you can use to get the tempo, to get the arrangement going when you're actually sitting down and putting together the production in something a little more robust like Logic.
Yeah, I just have another question.
Sure.
So I don't have a Mac. I actually have a Windows computer.
Okay.
To be more specific.
There is a another piece of software that would be amazing that I could recommend, called Studio One by Presonus. And if you happen to get any sort of like a microphone or an interface, something that even if it's under $50 or $100 for a piece of gear from Presonus, headphones, recording equipment, whatever it may be, they include a free copy of their software for anyone to use. So it's a really great way that you can get started. I love their company. I'm not affiliated with them at all. I just love their products. And that's what I use for recording. And so anytime I get a new microphone from Presonus or something, it always comes with a copy of that software. And that works for both Mac and Windows. So check out Presonus Studio One. And it's a great piece of software that might get you on the right track too.
Is there, what's like one that's good, like that, like a free one?
A good free one. I've heard good things about an app called BandLab, and that allows you to do multi-track recording. Another good free one for your phone is called Tracked, Trackd, Tracked. And it's a little multi-track recorder where you can put in one, like sing in one part. You'd be like, "Hi, my name is Armando," right? And then you could play that back and listen to it while you record something over the top, and it'd be like, "Hi, my name is Armando," and then you'd play them back together. You get this harmony thing, and then you could be like, "Oh, I'm gonna play that," and be like, boom, boom, boom. And then you get this whole thing that's like, "Hi, my name is Armando," like a whole track going on. So that's another cool app. It's totally free, called Tracked, that I like to use when I'm just getting ideas down. But to actually get to the point where you're jumping into a professional production, you might have to jump to a paid product. But a lot of them are fairly affordable, especially like the Studio One I was telling you about. If you're already getting some recording equipment, it's going to come free with that.
Yeah, I don't know. I want to do like a full-on thing. That's why I wanted to find one that's free.
Yeah.
But I like sometimes I'll just like be singing in my head, and my mom will be like, "What song is it?" I'm like, "Oh, that's not a song." She's like, "Record that! Record that!"
You gotta snag those ideas into voice memos first. And if you don't have voice memos on your phone, there's a lot of free apps that you can use both on your computer and on your phone to be able to capture quick little ideas like that.
And that's the thing. I usually do that, but like I'm like, "Oh my gosh, what a mind-blowing, revolutionary idea! Cars that run on water."
Oh, there we go. Exactly. So now apply that same thing to
design.
musical ideas.
Yeah, but I never really thought of it like that, because I just like, I just got a bunch of ideas in there. Like I thought up of a movie idea, I put it in there. Another one, I put it in. So like all these ideas I have, I put it in there every once in a while. The thing is, I never go back to it. Like I just like forget that it's there. And I'm just like,
well, don't forget that it's there. And next time you have a music idea, I want you to sing it in there and make a little recording, and then you'll have it there so that anytime you're feeling, this is a great way to segue back to what do you do if you're feeling stuck. You go to your voice memos app and you scroll through. By now you might have hundreds of ideas, and you just go, "Oh, let's check out what new."
Yeah, let's see if this one's good.
And it's like, "Hi, my name is Armando." You're like, "Ooh, okay, wait a minute." You might be off and running on that idea. So it's so important that when we do have great ideas that come to us, don't lose them. Those ideas have power. Those ideas have a little lifespan. You got to give them somewhere to live so that they're taken care of. And Voice Memos app is a great place to put that.
Awesome. Thank you for that. And thank you for those questions, Armando. We really do appreciate it. It gave all of us a little insight into that. And I'm not gonna lie, I jotted down some program names because those sound really cool.
Perfect.
All right, we have Matthias up next. Matthias, go for it.
Okay, I've heard you talk about how you have to wear different hats and being a professional musician. And when I first heard the word musician, I'm thinking trumpet. I'm thinking tuba. So I have my first question for you is, in your opinion, what is the most difficult instrument to learn?
Ooh, the most difficult instrument to learn. I think the most difficult instrument to learn are the instruments that sound bad when we try them. Like, for example, if I handed you a guitar and you didn't know anything about guitar, and I said, put your fingers here, here, and here and strum it, it would sound pretty good. But if I handed you a tuba or a trumpet, like you're saying, and say, make this sound good, oh, see, you got a guitar. So you know what I'm talking about. But trumpet, man, if you don't know anything about the first time I tried to play trumpet, it was like you can't, it's really tough to get a beautiful sounding tone on the trumpet. So anything that's really tone specific, like trumpet, or any bowed instruments like violin, unless you really spend the time and get to a certain level, it can be really scratchy and squeaky and like sharp sounding. So yeah, I don't play any bowed instruments, and I can kind of make a sound on a trumpet, but anything like any brass instruments are a little bit of a blind spot for me. But I do play saxophone, flute, clarinet, piano, guitar, bass, drums, mandolin, play a lot of different things.
What in the world is a mandolin?
What is a mandolin? It's like a little
I've never even heard that.
It's about the size of a ukulele, but it's used a lot in country music. So it has just a little bit
So
brighter.
it's basically the country version of a guitar. A country version of a ukulele.
Yeah, think of it. Yeah, actually,
Okay.
that's a great way to describe it. A country version of a ukulele, where it's higher in pitch than a
Okay.
guitar, but does some similar things.
Well, I have been looking to get some guitar lessons. I don't want to keep this around for nothing. So maybe
Yeah,
I'll come to songwriting class.
Yeah, maybe we got to talk about a guitar program here at a
With
week.
this baby.
I think that would be an amazing idea.
Interesting.
I think
Now, my last question for you was, so you told me about how much you love songwriting. And now I have been wondering, if you were to go a different route or have a different career instead of relating to music, what would it be?
Whoa. Man, I haven't really thought of that, because I have so much passion around music and around creativity and art that it has always been plan A. Because I feel like in our lives, if we start planning out backup plans, it means already that we're like expecting to fail. So instead of planning out like, oh, I want to be a professional golfer, but I think I'll, learn a little bit about accounting in case golf doesn't work out. It's like you're already putting things in place of backup plans. You have to have the confidence to say, no, I am all in on what I'm most passionate about. I'm not going to spend any time filling up my mind with anything else other than how do I get to the next level with what I'm most passionate about. So I would say, if I wasn't a musician, I would still want to do something that was in the creative arts world, whether it was graphic design or some sort of creative. I love online business. Business is a huge part of how to have your own career as a musician. You have to build some business skills. And the more that I've spent time working on that, the more excited I've been about that. So I would say something in the online business or the coaching world would be something I'd be really passionate about.
That's a really good
That
question.
is inspiring.
Mhm.
That's inspiring.
So all
I've
of
always
you
had backup plans
listening
for
or
absolutely
watching this,
everything.
think about what you are most passionate about and make sure that you are dedicating yourself to growing that passion. The more that you surround yourself with backup plans, the more you're taking away from the path forward with what you're most passionate about. And remember that when I say backup plans, I'm not talking about the other things that have to go into what it means to wear these different hats. I'm talking about making excuses for why you aren't going to be successful in your passion. Important distinction. Xavier's here.
Xavier is here. Yes.
Xavier, what's up? I've been thinking
Making
about
me
you, man.
rethink my life questions.
We're gonna jump over to Xavier real quick to say hi.
Hello, I'm currently
How's
at
it going?
Good. Sorry I'm late. We had a little emergency.
You got to take your time. What's most important is that I'm seeing you
What's
here,
going on?
Xavier, and you're smiling, and I love that. So you take care of yourself, and if there's anything you need from us, we're here for you, and we're just happy to see you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. No, that was awesome to see Xavier, and we're all wishing you the best, man. All right, Cindy. Cindy, you are up.
Hello. Oh, I did have some questions, and then as the episode progresses, I get more questions.
Yeah, I love it.
But so one of my questions was, how would you define a musician? Like, if you had to define it in your own words,
How would I
or
define a musician?
Mhm. Or if you would explain it to someone who's never, like, heard of a musician or something.
I would to someone who's never heard a musician or heard of music, I would say someone who can use something more than themselves to be their voice to make an impact in a universal language. That was a big definition.
That was a cool definition. Wow.
So let's break that down. I don't exactly remember what I just said, but someone who's using something outside of themselves. So this could be something they play with their hands, something that they play with their mouths, some other tool of expression to act as their voice. And that's what I love about instruments is they take the place of our voice. They're able to speak for us in a way that can impact people with a universal language. By that I mean, if you are speaking to someone who doesn't speak English or doesn't speak your language, and you play them something beautiful on the piano and they start crying or feel emotional, that is the power of music. It is a universal language that no matter what culture we come from or what language we speak, we feel the emotion in music. And so the definition of musician, again, I would say someone who can use a tool outside of their own voice to be able to express themselves in a way that connects with someone else as a universal language.
Oh, also, talking about instruments, and do you consider, like, I know some people say that your voice is also another instrument that you play. Do you think
Definitely. I think our voice is the most unique instrument out of anything on earth. Nobody has a Cindy Lou voice. Nobody has a Katarina voice. Nobody has a Matthias voice. You are one of one. So being able to use that voice in a very special way to express yourself further than what you can say with just words alone is almost like an added layer to that definition of musician. So yes, singers are absolutely musicians.
I do have two more questions, sorry.
Yes,
But I know we were talking about earlier about voice memos and recording. So, and have you ever done it like in a public area with people around where you just start recording something because like a song just pops in your head like while you're in the store?
Yeah, sometimes you have to get over that judgment, that fear of judgment of others, and trust that your idea for the song is more important than whether or not people in the grocery store are going to think you're crazy. So yes, I've been in the airport. I've been, in the grocery store. And sometimes, you make it look like you're on the phone too. I'll sometimes do that where I make it seem like I'm on a phone call and I'll be like, or whatever, you know.
And my other question is about, because I know we were talking about passions and whys. So how would you, has there ever been a time in your career where you feel like you didn't have any passion for music, or you are stuck kind of?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's an important thing to talk about too. Sometimes we get so focused on this goal or this dream that we don't stop to think about all of the other things that go into that dream. And there's been times where I have wanted a project so badly to go the way I wanted it to go that you're so fixated on the outcome and not enough on the journey. And when we fixate on outcomes, a lot of times it can lead to burnout. And what that looks like for me is just feeling stuck. You know, you want to always strive to create meaningful things or reach people in a new way. And it can feel really limiting sometimes when you feel stuck in your own way. And that's happened to me a few times in my life where you feel stuck, whether it's a project or whether it's a song or just an idea. And that's why wearing those different hats is what will help you get out of it. Because oftentimes as creators, we are too close to the things that we create, and we're not able to step back and be objective and go back to start with why. So anytime that I've felt burnt out, there was a lot of change that came up, and I'm not going to go too deep into it. And during the pandemic, when the pandemic hit, I lost all of my tours. I had a tour to Egypt scheduled, to Eritrea and Egypt. I had a national tour, and every single performance was canceled. And it really upended a lot for me. And through that, you have to now wear some different hats and go back to, why do I want to do music? Why was I looking forward to these performances? How else can I create those connections without being there in person? And in many ways, that has led me to Elite. And with that comes a newfound inspiration to reach more people and make a bigger impact than what maybe those tours would have done. So yeah, great question, Cindy Lou. I think that is a normal part of being human, and a normal part of being an artist is having those moments where you feel stuck. All the more reason why you got to go back to your why. You got to be willing to go to that creative well. And just, even if you're pulling up an empty bucket of mud one day, you know that by going through the motions, one day that well is gonna overflow.
Okay, thank you. And I know it doesn't only have to do with music, but like I think all passions need like you need to like know why and everything. Just like what you were talking about today, I have been making like backup plans recently. So what you were saying and like people telling you other things to do. So it just really related to me today. So thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah, backup plans. It can feel like the right thing to do because you want to be safe. You want to be secure. But sometimes it can be a detriment to plan A. You don't want to pull any power away from plan A by looking at plan B and plan C. You're just spreading yourself too thin. So I like the idea of, and again, this is just my perspective, my journey, my opinion, but really getting clear on what plan A is and putting all your focus, all your resources, everything you have into, how do I take the next step? How do I plan the next step? What actions do I need to take once I've planned it to make that happen?
That's fantastic. And we are nearing the out of time, but we do have a final lineup of questions. So I'm going to shoot it real quick.
I was trying to be a lot.
No, you're fine.
So long-winded, as you know, from everyone who's worked with me, I could just talk forever on this. So
no, everybody has so many great questions, and it's a really good problem to have. Trust me. But we're going to go to Xavier because his iPad's dying right now. So Xavier, you go next.
We just plugged it in, but I'll still say my question. Okay. Sorry for the background. But basically, so I'm not sure if someone already asked this, but Derick, what made you inspired to get into your music career, and how did you get inspired?
Yeah, this was we did talk a little bit about this, but I'll recap it in a different way with a different experience, which goes into music production. When I was 14 and I started playing guitar, I knew that I wanted to create music and I wanted to be able to tell stories with my own voice. And I wanted a way that I could craft the story to be exactly what I was hearing in my head. So that led me to learning all of these different instruments. And while a lot of the other kids at school had, PlayStation and Nintendo or whatever, and they would come home from school and do that, I had a little recording machine, and it allowed me to play different tracks like we were talking about and be able to listen back to them while I'm playing and recording other things. And so I was putting my tracks together in my room, and that's where I would be all day after school. So I had the headphones on. I was creating drum tracks and keyboard parts and guitar parts and really getting the foundation for mixing and producing music. And I knew from that moment, being able to share that production with someone was a very different thing than being on stage and sharing that song, because you're sharing a very specific presentation of that, if that makes sense. And so that has always been really inspiring to me, to be able to think about the different ways that we can present the same content.
Thank you for that.
Also, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
How did you learn to get to people's emotional side? Like, how did you learn that?
I learned that by being vulnerable. I knew that if I was willing to share something that was emotional or personal to me, chances are it might connect with someone else who has gone through that experience themselves. I knew by writing a song about how I felt lost in my life and I didn't know what to do and I was scared of the future. I knew that somebody else might listen to that song and be like, oh my gosh, I feel the same way. That's exactly how I feel, but I just didn't know how to put it into words. And then when you have the musical element under that, it becomes even more powerful than the written statement alone.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, Katarina, you're up.
Okay, so I have a few questions. My first one is, what is the best song you have made in your career so far?
Oh, the best song I have made in my career. There's been a lot. I'm really proud of everything that I've created. It's very rare, maybe impossible, for me to release something that I don't feel proud of. That said, there is one song that comes to mind, which is a song called Silver Snow, which was written as part of a winter concept album that I did, which is kind of like almost like a Christmas song or Christmas album, but not like Christmas specific, more like winter, about the season of winter. And the song is like over 7 minutes long. And it's one of the first times that I've put together a long form pop song. And so I used a lot of different techniques for it, some different sounding instruments, and this big, long kind of jazz bridge section. And I just love the way that it turns out. And I'm really proud of the fact that I used a lot of influences from different styles to come up with something that felt like my statement. And you might say, oh my gosh, 7 minutes, that's a really long song. And it is. And I didn't care. And I put it out. And one of the first times I played it live, I got a standing ovation. And that was a moment that it gave me chills to know that I was playing this song for the first time for an audience who loved it that much that they stood up at the end. So Silver Snow, you can go check it out. DerickNelson.com.
Oh, that's awesome. Katarina, you had another question?
Yeah, this is my last question. What is it like hosting your workshops at Elite?
I love it. What is it like hosting my workshops at Elite? It is incredible. And it is mostly the most amazing part just comes from the students. So my students in our workshops have really been the ones who have created such a special environment by being so willing to hear what I have to say and take chances, go outside their comfort zone, and really respect my one and only rule, which is JFZ, which stands for Judgment Free Zone. So Annabelle, Natalia, Daphne, Xavier, those of you who are, and Tiana, who just joined our songwriting club with Annabelle, but you know what I'm talking about when I say that it really comes from the students. Being willing to share your perspectives and your ideas is the coolest part of leading these workshops.
Oh, I do have a question about if someone wanted to join your songwriting club, how would they join? Or
You're going to send an email to Miss Kirkland and make sure that there's space available for us to have you. We meet every Tuesday from 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock, and would love to have some new members as long as we can make sure that there's room for you. So you're going to go ahead and send Miss Kirkland an email, and I think Mr. Smith can help make sure that happens. And yeah, hopefully we can make that happen.
also, one last question. So if we wanted to find like your music or anything, where would we go to?
So this is a great opportunity to tell you about what's coming next for our songwriting workshop projects. In our songwriting club right now, and I'm not totally sure when this episode will air, so hopefully there's still time, but I will share this with anyone who's listening in hopes that we can still make this happen. We have written a group song that is our school anthem. It's called Be Elite. We're making history with our first official school anthem, and we're inviting the entire school to participate in the music video. So all you have to do is go to dericknelson.com. That's DERIKNELSON.com/be elite. dericknelson.com/be elite. And there's all the information you need. There's a little video I made, and you can hear a clip of the song, and it'll tell you everything you need to do to be a part of this project. But you can find my other music on my website there, as well as anywhere you stream or listen to music. So Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube. I'm all over everywhere, and would love your support in listening to the things that I've created.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to put it in the description of the video. So.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we'll have that in the description. Absolutely. And I just want to squeeze the last three in real quick before we end. Annabelle, you're up.
Thank you. My question is, what were you thinking about when you made the song 100 More Miles?
Oh, 100 More Miles. So that actually is also on my winter album. Funny you should mention that one. And this was born out of a songwriting exercise that we talked about in our workshop. So those of you who remember the little book that I talked about, Poems of the Sea, we went through the 6 senses, not just 5 senses, but 6 senses. And you're going to have to take my workshop if you want to know what all 6 are. But we did an exercise where we just look at the cover of the book, which shows a beautiful ocean scene with a boat out in the middle of nowhere. And we used all 6 senses to describe a phrase of what that made us feel like. So I wanted to use that exercise in combination with this idea of telling a story that felt somewhat historic and kind of like old-timey, and use it as a way to tell my own sort of fairy tale about what may have happened on this long voyage in the middle of winter, many long winters ago. And it tells this story of a relationship of 2 people wanting to be back together. And you're gonna have to listen to the song to find out what happens. But that was my inspiration for 100 More Miles, which is why I love talking about that song in our workshop.
Awesome, thank you.
Natalia,
all right,
it's stuck
we
in
got
my
2
head.
more.
Oh my gosh, you're the best. Thank you.
All right, Tiana, you're up, and then Matthias. Tiana, go for it.
I was wondering if you know about Music Maker. It does you could create music either online, or it's just like little samples of like little tiny music clips, and then you put it all together. You create like this awesome work of masterpiece.
Yeah, Music Maker. Is that what you said? Is that what it's called?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about that specifically, but I know there's a lot of apps and a lot of software, and like we were talking about with Armando, different ways that you can have the ability to put together lots of different sounds, lots of different samples, different styles of music that you can use to create your own thing, which is something I love to do. It feels like little puzzles to me. And I love that about music. So yeah, Music Maker, or anything that you can use to create music and put things together to make something new is super cool.
I think that's the only like app that I use for music only. So.
Oh really? Okay, I got to check it out then.
Awesome. And then we got Matthias to close us out. Matthias, go for it.
Okay, my final 3 questions are: how do you spend your free time?
How do I spend my free time? Well, that's the beauty of being your own business owner and having your own independent career in music is everything is different. Each day is a little bit different. It's not the same, wake up at 8 and go to work until 5. You have the flexibility to focus on instead of day to day, it's project to project. So some days I am working on productions for other artists and other bands. Sometimes I'm putting together stuff for our workshop. Sometimes I'm working on my own music or creating new products to share with my audience. And then in my free time, I love being with my family. I love being with my wife. I love to play golf. So on beautiful days, you can find me at the golf course. I like cooking. There's a lot of creative projects that I love spending my time around. So it does kind of all fall under the music umbrella because I love creating stuff that sometimes is just for me. But yeah, and then every so often, if I have a free night, I'll get onto my Nintendo Switch and play some either Mario Golf or Mario Kart, or I really love Zelda.
That's awesome. All right, Matthias, you got 2 more?
Okay, my second question is kind of unique. It's an interesting question. If someone said they could get you into any movie, but they get to choose who you were acting as and what movie you were acting in, would you accept?
Whoa, that's a wild question. I hadn't really thought about that.
It's a question of luck, to be honest.
I would have a lot of conditions first. Like if the person asked that's going to make this happen is Tom Cruise, I'm going to be like, dude, no way I'm probably going to have to jump out of a helicopter with like a strap to like a motorbike or something and I'm going to die. So that answer would be no. It's like, would you like to meet Tom Cruise? Yeah. Do you want to like spend a day doing whatever Tom Cruise wants to do? No. So I think I would need a few more conditions around what the kind of movie is, because that would make a difference too, and how much danger I would be in before I would just blindly say yes.
So no surprises, you'd need more specifics.
I would need a few more specifics to make sure that I'm going to survive.
Okay.
It's like it's a movie about sharks. You're going to be down in a shark tank.
I won't give you all the information, but let's just say it's a movie for kids. It's a movie for kids.
Oh, it's a movie for kids.
It's a movie for kids, and it has music.
Okay, but what if like one of the scenes is like they want to like shave my head or something, or
one of the scenes you're gonna have to go down in a sewer.
Oh boy, I don't know. Are they paying me?
Have you seen the movie Arlo the Alligator Boy?
I have not seen Arlo the Alligator Boy. There a sewer scene?
Oh goodness. Oh boy.
How about this?
What are we going to
write the music for any movie and you have to say yes, I would do that. That's my compromise.
And
my compromise.
And I don't have to be in a sewer.
My closing question.
Out of a plane with Tom Cruise. I don't have to worry about getting my head bitten off by a random like shark in a cage somewhere. And
I promise.
Still play golf when I want to.
And my closing question, because I'm sure you've had a lot of overwhelming questions, I want to leave this video off with on a good note. So, how does songwriting or producing music make you feel?
Ooh, how does songwriting or producing music make me feel? The biggest word I can think of is inspired. Because not only do I feel inspired to create new things, but it makes me feel really good to know that other people, when they listen to it, they feel that inspiration too. So it's a really special thing for all of us as creators and as artists to be willing to be brave and share our ideas, because the other people that are going to hear them are going to benefit from them. So that's why it's such an important thing to be able to go outside your comfort zone, get rid of that fear of judgment, and just get in a place where you're free to create.
That's fantastic.
Any other last random questions from anybody we haven't heard from today? We haven't.
You want random?
Daphne.
For people we haven't heard from. Yeah.
How about Daphne? Any last questions, Daphne? Oh, come on.
She's like, I have my camera on. You should be happy. All right. Well, then if we don't have any questions. Oh, we have a very random question real quick. Okay, go for it.
Natalia.
Could you say what games you play on the Switch again?
Oh my gosh, my favorite games on the Switch. Let's see. I play Mario Golf. My wife and I love playing Mario Kart together. Sometimes we'll do Mario Party together. Love
Mario Odyssey.
That's probably my top favorite game. And then really love what they did with the remake of Link's Awakening on the Switch, because that was the first game that I ever played as a kid back when it came out. I know I'm old. Was Link's Awakening for the Game Boy, Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening. So
there you go.
Yeah. I have one random question too.
Yes, Matthias.
All right. Are you like a throwback? Would you consider yourself a throwback person? Because I'm about to ask you a question. I'll be very offended if you don't know.
Uh-oh. This is putting me on the spot here.
Okay.
I'm a throwback person. I don't know exactly what you mean by that, but hit me with your question and I guess we'll find out.
Do you know what Pokemon is?
Come on now. Diglett, Doug Trio, Machamp, Machamp.
Why would Diglett be the first one?
Diglett was my favorite. It was so underrated. No one got.
I would be so upset if you did not know.
I thought Diglett was the coolest one.
I would be so sad. I would be in tears right now if you did not know.
Of course, I know what
Pokemon was.
Come on now.
And now we know Diglett is his favorite. So
and Diglett is my favorite.
Yes. My dad liked Mewtwo.
Oh yeah.
There you go. The chat's blowing up with Pokemon. That's a good time for us to
my favorite
to sign off. All right. Well, I do want to remind everybody.
You know what?
Derik Nelson.
Before
Matthias, you unlocked Pandora's box over here. The chat is blowing up.
Yeah, I mean, literally.
You know what? That's our exit ticket. That's our exit ticket. Everybody, put your favorite Pokemon in, and you can leave.
Oh my gosh! Hey,
but I do
want to have you all here. I just
want to thank
you again for having me as a special guest on the podcast. This is some amazing work that you all are doing to keep this show going and to be featuring amazing people sharing their stories. Can we give it up for your fearless leader here, Mr. Smith?
And they're like, no.
I also want to thank Aldridge for being
Did you just who in the world in the chat just said they don't know what Pokemon is?
Oh, you also
okay, you guys are going to deliberate about Pokemon once we sign off here, but
once we sign off,
I was going to mention our singing. We do our happy birthday singing.
Oh no, Derick does not need to hear that. So yeah, anytime it's somebody's birthday on the podcast, we sing happy birthday to them via Zoom, and it's probably the most atrocious thing you've ever heard. So the way you pull it off, Derick, doing a virtual music program is amazing, because we can't even get a few bars of happy birthday without it being a train wreck. And it gets worse every time. And we're not trying to make it worse, but it gets worse.
Yeah, you're doing it.
But I do want to thank everybody for showing up, all the students. Tansy, thank you. Mr. Nelson, thank you for taking time out of your day and speaking to our students. We really do appreciate it. And we appreciate all you do with your workshop. I have a lot of my students that have personally taken your workshop, and they absolutely love it. So thank you. Thank you so much for providing that for them. If you would like more information, please visit DerickNelson.com. You can check out all his stuff over there. and be on the lookout for more opportunities as they arise with Mr. Nelson. And please make sure you subscribe to YouTube for Elite Academic Academy, that we can get updates on our podcast and all the other cool videos. Like Mr. Olson posts cool, Quest Crew videos all the time. So you might as well get updated on that. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Take care, and we'll see you next time.
Check the description box.